Before we get into the video, please consider liking and subscribing. So let's get into our NFL divisional round power rankings. Now, I'm so happy that we're down to 8 teams because it made my life so much easier making these power rankings, because I feel like this was honestly one of the easier power rankings for me to make, because at the same time, a lot of these teams are really, really good, but you still at this point know who the top teams are and the bottom teams are. So let's get right into it. Coming in at number 8, we got the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they did defeat the Dallas Cowboys, but that was a very, very ugly game. They did their hardest to choke the game just as bad as the Cowboys did. Kyle Shanahan's play calling at points in that game was absolutely disgusting, just refusing to run the football, and Jimmy G throwing some bad interceptions like he does a lot. Jimmy G is literally a love-hate relationship for a lot of people, because a lot of people really like him, like myself, but then he continually makes stupid mistakes. Now, at the same time, I don't know how much of that you could chop up completely to Jimmy Garoppolo, because Kyle Shanahan does have some really questionable play calling, because that game, I swear we were watching Super Bowls 51 and 54 all over again, but they were able to come out with the win because they have an absolutely stellar defense. Their pass rush is absolutely amazing, and their defense just completely dominated the Cowboys for the vast majority of that football game. So I have the San Francisco 49ers at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is not a disrespectful spot by putting them here. Like I said, all these teams are very, very good, or not, if not great, at something still in the playoffs. And the Bengals, and it's nothing against them, but I'll get to it here in a second. I think there's a couple flaws with the Bengals that put them a little bit lower. Now, they did win their first playoff game in 31 years. Joe Burrow had a 2-touchdown game, and Jamar Chase just absolutely had another monstrous performance this season. 9 receptions, 116 yards. But their defense did give up a lot of yards, 385 yards allowed to the Raiders, and they also gave up 5.5 yards per play to the Raiders. And on top of that, their offense did struggle in the red zone against the absolute worst red zone defense in the entire NFL in the Raiders. And those two things right there are a problem. They're giving up a lot of yards to a team in the Raiders that's not a particularly good football team, and then not being able to capitalize on drives, I think is it's something that could do them in the next round. Now, they do play the Tennessee Titans, so, that's going to be a big game for them because they're playing the number 1 seed in the AFC. But I think those two issues alone could be the downfall to the Bengals. But still, the fact that they're here, Joe Burrow, I think at this point you can call an elite quarterback. I have the Bengals at 7. Coming in at number 6, we have the number 1 seed in the AFC. We have the Tennessee Titans. Now, obviously, they're coming off of their first round bye, and they're hoping to get Derrick Henry back. I think that's just a little, topper to the little cake that they're going for. They're playing some great football even without him, because even without Derrick Henry, the Titans still have some great offensive pieces around them. A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, both having good games against the Texans. They have Nick Westbrook, who also stepped and played good. Foreman, he's running the ball very well, and they have a very good defense. Now, I think you can obviously tell that I think their limitation is at quarterback, but I think just experience alone, the fact that they're the number 1 seed, I think that could be good enough to bump them above the Bengals in my power rankings. But again, nothing against the Bengals and the Titans. They're getting really, really healthy. I think this team is in a very good spot, and I think the game against the Bengals will be a very good football game. But I have the Titans at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Now, they just completely beat up and destroyed the Cardinals. Their defense was absolutely dominant. Their pass rush was absolutely insane. Their defense, great. Matthew Stafford, first career playoff win. He only had to throw the ball 17 times. He only completed like 13 of them, but the Rams literally just had to stand there in that game and they would have won. He had a 2-touchdown game, 1 on a QB sneak. Cam Akers looking really, really good. And I think OBJ proved in that game that he is not the problem when it came to the Cleveland Browns, OBJ, Baker Mayfield situation. Baker Mayfield, I think, was the problem. OBJ proved that he still has more than enough left to be an elite level receiver. And then you obviously have Cooper Kupp, who's an all elite receiver who can do literally everything. Now, I am going to nitpick the Rams just a little bit because I think it'll hurt them against their next opponent and the Buccaneers. They had a whole bunch of drives where they had really good starting position, like within the 40. They started at their own 40, so basically 60 yards or less, multiple times. And they punted multiple times. against a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week, that's going to be a little bit of trouble. I am nitpicking, but that was something that I was sitting there thinking. It's like, well, your offense is getting really, really good field position and you're not capitalizing on it, and your defense is just playing absolutely baller football. They're keeping the defense did not let the Cardinals move the ball the entire football game. So the defense was great. The offense was really good at times, but I am nitpicking, and I am going to say the fact that they had really good starting field position so many times and they did absolutely nothing with it does not sit well with me in the playoffs, but I have the Rams at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I think it's pretty simple. For this one, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just made the Eagles look like a JV team and a team that had no right being there. And in all honesty, you can argue they had no right being there just because the expansion of the NFL playoffs to 7 teams per conference is the only reason why they were there. And yeah, they made the Eagles look like an absolute JV team. Their defense was dominant. They're getting healthy on the defensive side of the ball. Tom Brady was 29 of 37, 271 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and Mike Evans had a monster game, 9 receptions, 117 yards, and I believe he had a touchdown in that game. Now, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they, I think, are going to be in a bit of a tough spot next week going up against the Rams, just because I think their offensive line did get a little beat up in that game against the Eagles. But overall, again, it was the same thing with the Rams. They had a whole bunch of drives where they just continually punted, and they kind of let the Eagles stay in that game a little bit longer than I thought they should have. But after the Jalen Reagor muff punt, the game was basically over at that point. So they let the Eagles hang around a little bit too long for my liking. The fact it was 17-0 for so long and the Eagles still had a chance, but Jalen Reagor fumbling just completely ended any chance for the Eagles. But the Buccaneers made every opportunity of that, put the game away, dominated the Eagles, and I have the Buccaneers at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they just destroyed the Steelers. And if you watch the first quarter, you're like, okay, this game's going to be different because the Chiefs started off slow. Mahomes throwing an interception. Darrell Williams, McCole Hardman, Wildcat situation. Fumbled, leading to the TJ Watt touchdown. And then Mahomes just went absolutely insane and freaking sane. Mahomes threw 5 touchdown passes in 11 and a half minutes, shattering that record. I think the next closest for 5 touchdowns was in 25 minutes. But Mahomes as a whole in that game, he did start off really slow. He was at like 50% at one point in that game. Then he went 30 of 39, 404 yards, 5 touchdowns, just had a monster freaking game. So did Travis Kelce. So did the entire team, let's be honest. Jerick McKinnon had the game of his absolute life. Like he showed that he has a spot in the Chiefs offense. And their defense of the Chiefs held the Steelers to 3.9 yards per play and for 7 punts. So the defense was just suffocating Big Ben in his final game, and they play the Bills in a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year, and I could not be more excited. But I have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the Buffalo Bills. Oh my God, that was an impressive performance. They let out 20 years of frustration against the Patriots. 7 for 7 on drives, all of them leading to a touchdown. I'm not including the kneel down because who cares about that? But they had literally the most perfect game you can have other than 2 missed extra points. They didn't punt that one time in that game. No field goals, no interceptions, and 0 fumbles. Like, the Bills played a masterclass of a game, and they torched and dominated that defense of the Patriots, who everybody loves and respected. Bill Belichick's defenses always get respect, and the Bills were like, nope, we're not doing this. They let everything out in that game, absolutely killed the Patriots. Like, that was a clowning of that was the underdog for 20 years finally getting their revenge and beating down on the one team that gave them troubles for all these years. The Bills, they came out and just dominated. Josh Allen, 21 of 25, 308 yards. Again, another 5 touchdown game this weekend. Mahomes and Allen were absolutely spectacular in the divisional round. And the Bills' heating game is completely running up Devin Singletary and Josh Allen. The way they run that football, it's going to be trouble the rest of the playoffs. They are playing the Chiefs, as I mentioned, and they play great defense. So next week, Chiefs, Bills, it's going to be game of the year type of stuff. But I have the Bills at number 2. Coming in at number 1, we have the Green Bay Packers. Now, obviously, the number 1 seed in the NFC, they were able to rest all their guys this week because they did get that first round bye and were able to rest up for the divisional round to play the 49ers. They're getting healthy going into the playoffs. Their offensive line's getting healthy. Their defense is getting healthy. They have the best wide receiver in the NFL, and they have what will probably be the NFL MVP and Aaron Rodgers. And then you have the Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams connection that is just electric every time that we watch it. And then you have sneakily Allen Lazard, who's becoming a threat on that Packers offense, who is somebody that Aaron Rodgers can trust and rely on. I think the Packers getting healthy right now makes them an absolutely dangerous team. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing on a pissed off Aaron Rodgers kind of level. I know he hasn't really looked like it, but he wants that Super Bowl. If the Packers don't at least make it to the Super Bowl, you can kind of get that feeling that this season was a bust. But at the same time, I feel like the Packers all season long, it feels like they're playing loose. They play the 49ers, who they did play a very good game with earlier this year. I'm really excited to see what the Packers and the 49ers can do. And I have the Packers at number 1. Those are my power rankings going into the divisional round of these NFL playoffs. Give me your power rankings down below. Give me your thoughts on my power rankings, and I'll see you in the next one.